just started.
So
yeah. So what's your question? What's your question, Cliff?
As public figures or being in public service, should we be censored on what we have to say when it pertains to Black Lives Matter or anything dealing with the African American community?
Absolutely.
I think so.
We have to be censored.
Why do you feel that way, Larvell?
We have to be censored because I understand that, you know, we're Black firefighters. So my thing is, when you put on a uniform as a firefighter, as a military, as a police officer, you are held to a certain standard, a higher standard than everyone else. All right. So I get it, not to suppress your feelings, but it's a way that you have to remain neutral inside of that. So let's take it. I know every episode I talked about the military. I hate it, but here we go. So in the military, if something happens, right, politically, we cannot discuss political things while in uniform. All right. Even as a firefighter, I don't like to talk about religion, political, or anything else in the fire service because of the fact that we are held to a certain standard. You see what I'm saying? So yes, I feel like there's a different avenue you have to take when discussing.
But does everyone take that avenue, Larvell? Because I can tell you, there's plenty of times you sit around a fire station or a breakfast table and those conversations are had.
Yeah, two wrongs don't make a right.
That's very true. But also, as we are all those things, public service, former prior military, still in the fire service, those aren't who we are. We are forever and will always be Black men first. So just because I am in the fire service, I can't not be a Black person, Black male, and not feel a certain way when I see injustices done. I can't suppress those feelings because I wear a badge or a uniform. I'm not out here saying F this person or F that person. I'm not out here picketing and rioting, but if I have feelings, I should be able to express my feelings and not have ill will or malice towards me for it. I'm not saying F you. I'm just saying, yo, this is an F-do situation.
So it sounded like you want to talk about it without the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of it is just having that intelligent conversation. I think you have to have an open dialogue from.
I think talking without emotion is, you know, or not the negative emotion about it, you know, will be okay. But, you know, as soon as you start to put yourself in the shoes of that person or, you know, you start anti, you know, another group or another ethnicity, then
right.
Yeah, it ain't right. Yeah.
I think that, you know, like I said, I think the biggest piece of it is being able to have an intelligent conversation. You know what I'm saying? To be able to acknowledge that you have those feelings about things, injustices. It's a delicate balance because of who we serve. We serve everyone, and we serve everyone fairly and impartially. And we don't ever want to undermine the public's trust and our ability to do our job because of what's going on politically when we're in that uniform, like you said, Larvell.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
You also have to remember that as a minority, at times, whatever interaction you have with somebody, you can very well be speaking for a group of people and not even know it. You know what I'm saying? Like, right, wrong, or indifferent. Sometimes when you're in a diverse crowd, not everybody is interacting with people that might look like you or be where you're from in those circles. So the amount of tact that has to go into place and just being cognizant of what you say. Not that I'm saying anybody would say anything hurtful intentionally, but like when you're speaking for the group, and I mean that in the best way possible, just try to speak from a place of calm, intelligence. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Speak well if you can, like, and try to set the example that maybe, I hate to say this to you, but maybe our people aren't that bad after all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. You're saying, be the example to overcome those objections and preconceived notions that people may have. I totally understand that because I think a lot of times between the media and even in our own community, because we are, there has been things done to us historically, and we see the things, so we are conscious and we are sensitive to these things, and a lot of times facts are not always listened to. People are looking at media, they're looking at what the next person is doing. Is my friend mad? I'm mad too. Let's look at things objectively, and ask like you said, ask yourself, where do you actually stand on a topic, and go from there.
Here, I got another question for you, for the group. Why are we the only ones that have to have this conversation of when we can speak and how we can speak?
I think that's personally something that people.
When I say we, I'm talking about us as the black community. You don't see any other nationality or race really had that conversation of, hey, should we get behind this or we get behind that, or should we not say this, not say that? They just gonna say what they're gonna say.
I think, Cliff, over a period of time and over a course of time, we all subconsciously recognize and understand that we are viewed in a different manner at times when we speak out. So when we speak out about certain subjects or we discuss certain subjects, we know that people are going to say, hold on, wait a minute. You shouldn't be talking about that, or you shouldn't be acting that way. And I think that's the reason why, we kind of have that backbone feeling where we're saying, well, should we discuss this? Or is this something that, we should discuss behind closed doors? But that's my reason behind it.
What you got, Ashanti?
So what are we discussing? Right.
Pretty much, why do we? I guess we're the what Cliff's question was as far as why do we feel like?
I understand. Question. What I'm asking is, why conversation? Why we have conversation?
Because the six of us. Oh, go ahead, Stokes.
No, go ahead. You're saying why are we having this conversation? Or are you talking about why we're just having this conversation about the current events of things that are going on in the United States right now? Or because I think we all deeply care about what's going on, and we understand why it's going on, and we understand the history behind of why it keeps occurring, and we understand where it's going to continue to go to in the future. So, in just for me, speaking for me, I love to have this conversation because it presents that open dialogue for us to discuss the impact and issues in the African American community and the things that we face each day. And we're able to, project that out now to what people can actually view and see, some of the challenges that we face. So subconsciously in our minds, some things we don't even have to talk about because we experience it and we know that these things happen to us. You go to certain areas, you go to certain environments, you feel uncomfortable. You may not voice it, you may not say it, but the challenges. Well, how am I going to be perceived if, I'm the only African-American person that's in this area, or how am I going to be perceived if, I do this or I do that? It's like we're constantly judged on a 24-hour basis. So that's my reason behind why we're talking about this and the current events that are going on.
Understood. But what I was really asking was, okay, you said current events. The video from the other day with the officer, the Army officer,
Mm-hmm.
was pulled over.
Mm-hmm.
Brought that up. That's pretty much what this conversation is about, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Donahue, I know you had some questions about it. What were those questions, boss?
Pretty much what was he pulled over for? You know what I'm saying? What exactly was going on before the video? I mean, before the video unfolded, those events unfolded. I had no idea what was going on, or the backstory.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The backstory was he was pulled over for not having the plates on his car and inspection. Not inspection, but tint. The plates on the car and tint.
Which I believe the plates were displayed in the back window, if I'm not mistaken. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess watching the video, you know, it's it was scary watching it, you know, because I didn't know how it was going to unfold, you know, and to watch that from you know, not only a black man, you know, I would say veteran first, and I would say American first before black man, because of the law of the land. I like to believe that you know, those freedoms, as hard as it is to say sometimes, you know, everyone has them and everyone's going to be treated fairly. But to watch that man, you know, get maced in his uniform, you know, in a you know, in a kind of a complying effort, I mean, compliant posture, you know, it was hurtful, you know, it you know.
So the things I heard from the news, whether it be fake news or whether it be real news, whatever happened, they said they pulled him for the tags and the tint. He decided to slow down and then pull over in a more well-lit place. So he didn't automatically just pull over to the side of the road. He found a well-lit place. That way, officers would feel safe. You know, I'm not thinking for him, but these are my thoughts on what I heard. Maybe, you know, he felt like the officers would feel a little bit, you know, more safe if it's a more well-lit place. You can say, hey, I'm in my, forgive me for doing the term form, my uniform. You know, I do have dark tint, but it'll be safer for me as well with everything going on in this climate. The last few years, actually the last 10 years, have, you know, been a lot of police shootings. So he pulled over, and then from there, you know, it seemed like it was already escalated, you know, from the videos that I have seen. What do you all do? Let's say, Julian, cop gets behind you, you know, what are you thinking? You know, what is your plan of action? You know, because I think like there's a disconnect between knowing what to do with the police and knowing what not to do. Do y'all feel the same way?
I do, but also I think for us in the leader line and us in public service, we're kind of, I ain't gonna say at a distance. We have something that a lot of black men don't have. We either got PF tags or something in that back corner left side of that window that says fire department on it.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who do have that, you already know, I'm getting pulled over. This shouldn't be as bad as it could possibly get.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have that buffer when they run those tags and see PF blah 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 on it, or a sticker that says I work for whoever fire department.
So you think that saves us? Not
I ain't gonna say
necessarily
it saves us. No.
Saves us, but you necessarily. Let me backtrack. Not saves us, but you think that knowing that once they pull us over, that it kind of already de-escalates the situation because they feel that they're pulling somebody over that is a public servant.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. I mean, I think that sometimes you get into a situation where you're in public safety, so you're held to a higher standard, like Larvell said earlier. So why am I going, 81 in a 70? You know, I
got the boo boo, man.
I mean,
I was about to say 81 to 7 ain't too bad down here. You know, 81 to 35, that's different.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I just think that I don't think it de-escalates anything. I think that as far as the plan of action you asked about, Ashanti, was, my thing is, first of all, go back to them, just be respectful. I mean, that's one thing that
I want somebody like
say again.
I want somebody to break it down from when the lights come on, see them, to they're tapping at your window to say license and registration.
What do you have to tap my window?
Shanti, let me break it down, and I want to say this. Let me break it down before that factor, and we're in going off what Donahue's comment is saying. Oh, just be respectful. That can be taken in many different ways. Now, let's look at the fact of. I look at it as an individual case-by-case basis, and when I say training, I say training to some extent, but I also say a person or individual as well. Some individuals don't know how to de-escalate situations, whether that be the person that's getting pulled over or the person that is possibly the police officer. I think in the course of our careers, we've had a chance to see some officers who can de-escalate a situation and talk to people respectful and get the desired results that they're looking for. I think we've had a chance in all of our careers to actually see the total opposite, where there is no respect because they have this preconceived notion of you, whether you are living in a low income community, whether you are a drug addict, whether you are, some type of preconceived notion that they have for you. But I think it goes by case basis of who that individual person is, because I just believe overall that, I can give you respect, but based on who you are as that person behind that badge is going to determine how things are going to go, regardless of your training.
So,
but to
Cliff,
answer your question, Clark, I'm sorry.
So, Cliff, you brought up, I'm going to ask you a question too, Clark, but Cliff, you brought up the insignias and decals. So, I don't have that on any of my rides for that purpose, because I want you to treat me as if you don't know me, Don't give me the right of way passage just because you see that I'm a PF. I actually had this talking with a guy I know. He's a police officer and up in Baltimore, right? And he said he got pulled over for his tent. His tent is dark. I mean, he got tint on his front windshield. I don't know how. But anyway, he got tint on his front windshield. His tent is dark. And he said he got pulled over from a police officer from another jurisdiction. And I told him, I said, well, why didn't you tell me you was a cop? He said, because I want him to treat me as without knowing that, treat me as a normal citizen. And, he could tell that, because he's a bigger guy. He's like you, Cliff. He was a bigger guy. And you could tell that individual, that cop, was kind of timid, with his movements. And he said when he get to court, he's going to tell him, like, yeah, I'm a cop. But anyway, so I don't keep those insignias because I want you to treat me as a normal citizen, And yes, I have my car. I got dark tint on my windows. I have rims and everything, I don't want you to give me a pass just because that, hey, I'm a firefighter just because of my plates. And to answer your question, Clark, from when the lights pull off, from the lights come on, I'm sorry. The thing I do, what I recently did when I got pulled over for my tent, hit that four-way flashers, because I recognized that my guy was pulling me over. So I hit that four-way flashers, and that tells him, all right, he saw me pull him over. And I was up on in Williamsburg, like 64, and I hate the highway. I hate pulling over in the highway. So I rather pull over like on an exit or something, because that's just safety for both of us.
Down on the exit.
Yeah. That's just safety for both of us, And I roll my window down, and I just talk to him, like a normal human being. I get along with everybody, no matter what uniform you got on, no matter who you're affiliated with. I don't care. I get along with everybody, And I just talk to him like a normal human being.
How you with this guy right here?
That's different. That's a whole different situation, though, Clark.
I know you got 8s on your car, right?
Who?
I thought Julian had 28, so my ruler must have been off.
Wait, boy.
That's why he need to be in school.
He said it was 20s, but he keep him clean though.
Feels like
ATL, that was a good movie. Movie.
I think to the point. I think that like you were saying, Travis, earlier. You got to be aware that you got those preconceived notions. Like we look at it. We say the police got preconceived notions about us, but if we've already developed a bias or preconceived notion towards the police, and you pretty much paint the broad stroke or the paintbrush and say all police are bad, and you already got the disposition when they walk up to your door. I use a quick example. I was going to football practice with a homeboy of mine one time. He got pulled over. He was just talking too much. He's like, what you pulled me over for? I'm like, man, you need to calm down. I'm in the car telling him to calm down. He was like, no, that's bullshit. I'm like, dog, calm down. I'm on the passenger side.
Wait, pump the brakes.
I'm like, dog, hold on, man. I'm just look. Excuse me, sir, officer. This man, we was going on. My thing is, I just think respect goes a long way. You know what I mean? I think that. Because I think that we got to look at the human side of it. But at the same time, I do think it should be accountability in policing. But it's still humans behind that badge. You know what I'm saying? We as firefighters know what we deal with. And I think that, just the fact that this person is, going to comply or make their job easier, whatever it is, and if it doesn't work out, I say you let the lawyer sort it out. You know what I mean? And I think that's the piece I look at.
I got you. We think
let's look at it from a different angle. Okay. Let's look at the cop said, the cop is having a real bad day, had a shitty call prior. You know how we always say, man, we don't know what happened that call before, and guys get burned out, blah, 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 blah. What's to say that starting next year, this year, whenever, each locality's police department, sheriff's department, fire and EMS department, everybody go through and get a yearly psyche eval done along with their physicals. That way we can start tracking the mental capabilities and stability of each employee.
Oh, at our department, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I can speak for me and Travis. We do that, so it's like
a yearly psyche eval. When you talk to psychologists.
Was it yearly or every 2 years? But we did. I got one my first year. I got one again. Everybody went through it again to kind of get another. You got your benchmark, and then you get one with your physical that you talk to the person. And I mean, I that's a good one. That's a great one right there, Cliff. As far as that go, because you already know that even us, you know what I'm saying, from the time you came in the fire service and you ran your first call, you're a different person than you were when you know what I'm saying, from the trauma that you've seen.
That's true.
And I think those people have to, you have to get out the service if you identify people are aggressive or anything like that.
Everybody got a little crazy in them. It's just getting to that point.
Right, but you don't put the you don't put it on Front Street. Whatever.
Why y'all look like the Brady Bunch right now?
I swear.
I won't accept that. That's perfectly fine.
I'll be the dumb one to point the wrong direction and be like, hey, ain't nobody beside me.
I'll tell you why I accept that, because I'm looking at 5 individuals that know me very well. So I don't play. But hey, so I know I can speak for Julian, I can speak for Cliff, and I'm transitioning off of the crazy talk. So let me ask this question: being concealed carry individuals who 99% of the time we carry a firearm with us for our own various reasons. How do you feel?
You got a gun
when you get what was that?
You got a gun at church.
So how do you feel? Actually, funny thing, I actually do security for my church, so yes, I do have a gun at church. That's another story.
Hey,
so anyway, holy water. I think you holy water in the pistol.
I got holy bullets. If you want to talk with Jesus, I got something for you. So
the right one.
That boy be like, what they offering that, bro?
You pay your tithes this week.
Y'all play too much. Anyways, so how do you feel being pulled over, knowing that you have a concealed firearm in the car?
I toss my gun in the front of the windshield every time.
But you have a concealed carry, so you're not obligated to put it in personal.
He pulled me over. He ain't ran that yet. That ain't pop up yet. That you got to scroll down on my name to see that one. So until I see him scrolling down, he ain't seen that yet.
So my take is the same thing. Like if I get pulled over, and because I only say 99% of the time, 100% of the time I have a gun on me or a gun with me, except various other reasons. But when I roll that window down, we have that dialogue and that conversation. I let that officer know, hey, just want to let you know I do have a firearm in the car and I have a firearm on me, and this is the location of it, just so we can clear that from the jump. Although I know that his MDC is going to tell me that I'm a concealed carry owner, and that the chances of me having a firearm is possibly there.
Oh yeah, I definitely tell him, but I'm like, it's right here in the on the dash.
Okay,
that's my big
just so he knows where it's at. And when I go to reach for my ID or nothing like that, I have told you where my firearm is. So don't try to start jumping stupid and do something crazy because he said it was here. What if you had another one? No, motherfucker, I told you that one is right there. I'm getting my wallet. I ain't trying to have no hot shit in me.
Okay. Julian?
So just to rewind to the last topic, because I never spoke on it. It's different now. Now that I'm older, it should never be a comfortable encounter. I don't think, but for me, it's uncomfortable. I don't know. As long as I've been alive, there's always been like a sinking feeling. When the car pulls in behind you, blue lights turn on, you're like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" And you go in like that 2-second checkpoint of like, how fast am I going? Did I make a turn? Like, you're just trying to prepare yourself because ultimately the first question is, do you know why I pulled you over? But now, having a concealed carry permit, the comfort didn't get any more. Like, I think I'm even less uncomfortable now just because the alert that does come with it. And then if it's truly concealed, you wouldn't want anybody else to know where it was. So now you've got to go through this awkward, 10-second tryout. I call it a tryout because that's how they're going to gauge how cooperative you're going to be and, how nervous you're. Like, apparently nervousness is like a red flag to cops, but like some people are naturally nervous when they get pulled over. But I digress. Like the one time that I've been pulled over since I've had it, it was in the center console anyway. But I think it's an unnerving experience. Like, especially if it's just, and that's, exploratory or like your registration's out, your state inspection's out, window tint. I don't know. Like, I think it's something to be always uncomfortable for me. And what I can remember though is when I started driving, I'll never forget the conversation, and I'm pretty sure everybody in this podcast had it too. Your parents taught you how to interact with the cops when you got pulled over.
Exactly.
No, I can't say. No, I can't say that I had that.
I stand corrected.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. It was just more yes sir, no sir, and that was just how I was raised. Period. So I think that's where.
Yourself, that was normal.
That was normal conversation.
Yeah.
Yes sir, no sir. You are a figure of authority.
Yeah.
Whatever that's the police. So do what they say. Do that's the. I'm not going to talk about my rights in front of the police. I'll let my lawyer handle that.
So and that's what it is. Like, your fear used to be, oh, I'll deal with it in court. But I think now your fear is, will I have my day in court? You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you always you never want to argue in the moment because you're like, oh man, if I need to argue, like Kiwan said, I'll argue when we get to court. However, looking at everybody else or not everybody else per se, but like all these negative interactions, will I get my day? Will I get to argue it? It's something that goes through your mind. And like there have been some times when you're on the interstate, maybe out of state, and the trooper or highway patrolman pulls out, and you think they're coming after you. And you're like, oh man, what did I do? Like, what am I doing? Like, and you just don't know. There's so many unknowns. In closing, I just say it's unnerving to this day, and I'm 29 years old.
I mean, I guess the best thing, I don't know whether it's something that they can do as far as to bridge that gap. Maybe the police can put out a PSA about how to interact with, because they obviously they have some sort of expectations, you know what I'm saying, from the public. And maybe they could put out a PSA that says, when interacting with us, this is what we expect you to do. Say again?
But do you think that's a key? Go ahead.
They have done it.
Yeah.
They put stuff out like that. But I've also done it with my summer camp. I made it a point with the kids to go through a traffic stop with police officers just so they can understand at the age of 14, 15, 16, or 17-year-old how to start dealing with that. But cops have done that stuff before. I just think they need to be more in the community of
stream TV. I can tell you.
You say what?
It ain't on stream TV, but I have seen it. They have put out information on how to when they pull you over.
Well, maybe the audience is most affected by these police stops going wrong. It's not falling on that audience.
That's the part of media that's making the most money.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Controversy sells.
All controversy things, race issues, they sell. All day long on the media is, racial issue, LGBTQ issue. They're pushing those narratives to keep you to thinking about them and to keep you, about them. But as far as wanting to fix certain things, it's just like medication. How do you fix, the coronavirus stuff? Yeah, that's at the forefront right now. But how things like diabetes and all that, they're not gonna tell you how to do that. They're just gonna put a McDonald's commercial on the you know what I mean? Or the latest brands or the latest cereal or whatever. That's how they always done it. Keeping us weak, keeping us in a mindset of just maintaining. As I saw, I was watching Drink Champs. Shout out to Drink Champs and what Cameron said about maintaining. A lot of us just we say I'm maintaining. I'm good. I'm just chilling and all that. We got to start changing how we think about certain things, and especially with the cops. Think about they trying to do a job, and we just trying to get home. Think about I know I take my hat off to him. I think it's a whole lot of BS going on at the same time, but the media just ain't gonna give you what is needed.
No.
I agree, man, and I'm gonna tell y'all a story. I was pulled over by a state trooper not too long ago, man, and he was walking up to my window, and I was like, man, this guy looks familiar, As he came up to my window, I was like, officer, was I speeding? Was I doing anything? And he said, no, sir. I said, so what's the issue? He said, I was the one that your girlfriend cheated on you with. I just want you to know that you can have her back now. I'm playing that. I'm playing, man. Look, everybody was like, whoa. What? But look, though, do y'all think, man, to switch it up, man, do you all think that, like Ashanti said, with the social media and the news media, do you all think that social media has gave a platform for Monday morning quarterbacks?
Yes. So social media,
Facebook warriors, Twitter warriors, I mean, it is what it is.
You know, it's kind of like that.
Karen's flourish.
It's like that one thing I always pretty much say. As they say, I think it was Newton's law or something like. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, merely moved from one party to the next. So, as people
Einstein.
it's facts. No, it's facts. It's no. What I'm saying is facts. It's like
I took physics, not like you. I know.
Okay, thank you, Travis. Shut your hell up. No, but
I love about Julian law. Like,
no. First of all,
Julian transfer energy. If I was to smack the hell out of Julian,
Julian, no. But you understand what I'm saying, and I mean from the positive standpoint. When people have a negative viewpoint on those things, and I believe that we truly have an affinity for negative. You know what I'm saying? Everything that we see is negative, and people look at that. You see somebody shot, you're gonna tune into that. You know what I'm saying? You see some kid got a $5,000 scholarship. Oh, I ain't clicking on that. You know what I mean? So I think that a lot of times social media has made an avenue for people just to ramp up their energy. So it goes from one person to the next person, and everybody's adding on to it. It becomes a snowball effect instead of looking at everything that actually happened. You know what I mean?
And it has allowed people to be someone that they're truly not. And that's one thing I absolutely hate. Social media has put on this facade of I'm this or I'm that, or I will discuss this topic here, but when I see you in person, I'm not going to discuss it and talk about it. I'm a totally different person.
Same energy you had on this.
Same energy you had. Because this is my thing. I had this situation with someone. I said, okay, so now that you're not behind the computer screen, we can talk facts and have an educational conversation. You don't have time to sit here and do all this and Google and this and everything like that. And this person was dumbfounded. So I said, you need to keep that same energy that you had on social media that you got right now, and we'll discuss this topic. But people don't do that.
But also, social media has allowed people to actually show you who they are. You may not think, or you may see what you see on social media. You just be like, oh man, I never knew this person was like that. Go back and look through their posts. Look at what they've the pictures they posted and the stuff that they've tagged. You really see who a person is on social media.
They're spelling too.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of social media, how do you all feel about this? This been something that I've been trying to conquer for a while now. And I said I was going to, write the governor, but I don't know how I'm going to go about that. How do you
fix your hairline
right there beside you, cuz?
You said
I'm about to say the governor can't fix your hairline, but that's another story.
The connect to the governor though is right beside you, bro.
I felt that one with the U shape.
You got to connect to the governor.
Let me keep going though.
So what you were saying? What's your question, my man?
My question was, how do you all feel about, and it's something off topic, people recording scenes? This is something that just bugs me, and I hate it.
Recording scenes.
Yes. When you on scene and you see somebody with a camera phone just recording, it could be a trauma, it could be anything. Even in the police situation, I understand times now things have changed when it came to body cam and cell phone footage, but I think there should be a some sort of line.
Don't let go of C-spine. That's
I got you.
I got you. Don't let go of C-spine. That's a hard one, man. That's a hard one.
Yes, there's for me, the line is call 911 first, then record. Or, hey, person next to me, trust me, I'll send this to you. Call 911.
Right.
Get it there. And
what's your reservation to do about recording, my bad? I'm just curious. Because I mean.
All right, like I said, when it comes to, I see why people do it when it comes to police interactions. Just to get it, obviously you've seen from the recent events, so the world can see it. But I do think there should be a line when it comes to us working the scene. And obviously there's some sort of death or serious trauma, and it is being recorded or live streamed. You see what I'm saying? While I'm working on stuff.
There is no line, Larvell.
But I'm saying that it should be.
Yeah, it should be. But there is no line because people have this, social media has put this craze in people's mind where they want to be first. They want to broadcast things first. They want to be the reporter. Until it's done to you, until somebody has that camera showing that your mom entangled in a bad car accident, or somebody or your child laid out on the side of the street, shot up to death.
Look, man,
and I don't understand why people want to record accidents so much. Just for some fact that they're horrible things.
This me and me only. I don't care about you and what your family is gonna want. That's how most people wake up.
When you look at, I mean, I won't speak on any particular website, but I'm sure you can figure it out. It was a website that. No, I mean, you know what I mean, like Julian mentioned it. You know what I mean, but you look at that, and I just look at it from a standpoint of I look at how many people were just trying to come up and recording, and I say more so. I mean, I saw more stuff in the Black community that was I felt like a disgrace. You know what I mean? We exploited ourselves for a website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just for some money, you know what I'm saying? You somebody getting fighting, getting fighting in McDonald's. World Star, yeah.
Well, hold on.
My house was guaranteed to be on World Star.
But I'm saying, why is what I'm saying? We were talking about this, you know what I'm saying? This preconceived notions earlier. You know what I'm saying? This is what's feeding that preconceived notion. You know what I mean? This is we are feeding the narrative that you know what I mean. It's like. Forget that.
It won't stop.
You know what I mean?
I don't believe at this point in life it'll ever stop. Right now,
you're right.
Social media being a craze and that instant gratification and doing something for likes or doing something to be viewed upon, it won't stop. I believe, honestly, it will only continue to get worse. And that's my whole personal opinion.
And I got you. And I'm all for, recording some of the. I'm jumping back and forth. I'm all for recording some of the interactions involving the police. That's how some stories have been pushed out. That's how we found out a lot about stuff, and it changed how the interactions occurred with body cams and, footage and all of that. I get it. I think my biggest grief is working on the other side, when I'm looking back and I'm seeing somebody with a camera phone and I'm doing CPR, out of respect, I do think that should be some sort of fine or.
But you know what? Respect is subjective. Respect is all subjective. You know what I mean? We all it's 6 of us here present, and we all got different levels in which what's disrespectful. You know what I mean? We're gonna have some common things that disrespectful, but our threshold for what disrespect happens is wide open. And the public at large, I mean, like I said earlier, people have lost a lot of respect, and nobody wanted to be the source back in the day. You know what I mean? You didn't hear this from me. You remember that old? I don't know, y'all watching Living Color back in the day. You didn't hear this from me.
Yeah.
But people didn't want to be that source. Now everybody wants to be the source, and like you said, Travis, they want you want to hear it first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It truly was living in times of, no face, no case. I don't want to be the source. I don't want nothing to be known about where you got this information from. Right. I'll pass you this and go on about your business.
Now, I will say from a fire service standpoint, you probably can speak to this, Julian, that it has been actual. It's interesting. I think I was reading, I don't know, probably about a year ago. The fire service it has had some accountability within the fire service with things that were done on scene, that was recorded, and firefighters had to answer for it. You know what I mean? Say again?
Like fireground stuff or EMS stuff?
No, fireground stuff. You know what I mean? Arbitrary things done, freelancing that was done, damage that was done. That was,
So nobody cares about helmet cam footage when everything goes right. And the camera's never rolling when a call goes 100% right.
Yeah,
you're right.
But when it goes wrong, around the seaside and it's a stump in the yard you don't see, somebody else saw with a camera in their hand.
Yep.
That letter to write out 1,000 times, but the one that's gonna wind up on the internet is somebody standing in the yard at the apartment complex. You find that one stump, the ditch.
Right.
Hey, send me that video then, because I want to see.
Couple hit you in the face, like anything. Like
charge the whole hose bed and it's still attached.
And that just might be nothing wrong. Like that. But like y'all were saying though, there's with privacy laws, like you have to have I think the verbiage is you have to have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So like if you're doing a CPR in somebody's house, of course you don't want the neighbor across the street recording you, right? However, if somebody goes into cardiac arrest at Walmart, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in the produce aisle at Walmart. So God forbid you go into cardiac arrest there.
But
it's open season.
But it sounds like you're using the word common sense just in a different way, in which you and I both know ain't no more common sense.
That's no such thing.
No such. But to me, that's a curse word. I won't fight. Hey, hold on.
Yeah, no.
Where's the video going? Like when you're the first person to record something, what are you doing with that video? Like y'all run calls on the interstate. How many people usually drive by?
No.
Yeah.
But this is what they do. They're like, oh, look at this. And they're always like, right into the back of another car.
And then I laugh at him and be like, you dumbass.
Right. Well, everybody out there, just listen, quick PSA, Clark, but everybody move over. And when you see emergency vehicles on the roadway,
and put your damn phones down.
Put your phones down. And it is a matter of life and death. Just remember that. So just move the hell over and slow the hell down.
And have some humility. Like if the fire department's there or the ambulance is there, it's somebody's like worst day ever. Like why do you feel the need to consciously not? Miss so-and-so across the street couldn't breathe when they carried her down to the car. Let me record that real quick and send her a copy and 51 later. Come on, man.
Oh, you remember that day you couldn't breathe? Look at this.
I saw you, Miss Jones, and they were doing CPR on you. I got it on video.
You would have seen what your chest was like going up and down?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Miss Jones, you had on them old grandma drawers that day, huh? I saw you. They rolled you out the house.
Yes.
Were they clean? Were they clean?
Yeah, people.
Back to police. Where did policing start?
Say again?
Where did policing start?
Man, I think we gotta. I think
within.
You want
to go back to slavery times, or how deep you're going?
Let's
keep going. When did it start?
Because I feel like we gotta have the conversation about where it started to then give your opinion or a suggestion on where it should go.
Slave catchers.
Mm-hmm. Police officers were original slave catchers.
Yeah.
So we know it goes back that far.
Yep.
And that's where it started. All right. And so where did it progress to? Not to today, but after slavery, where did it progress?
Where did it progress to after slavery?
Then it was incarcerating people.
So now are you talking
mainly Black and brown people, and putting them in jail and prisons for minuscule or
so that's after Jim Crow, because they say, I got rid of. Go ahead, Cliff.
I was gonna say, are you talking about Jim Crow era?
I'm talking about before and after Jim.
Okay.
You hit the Jim Crow era, but back there and then, if something was happening, you was facing an all white jury anyway. So whatever happened, you was gonna be guilty.
You never even saw the jury.
Once they implemented the Jim Crow era and they got rid of that, then it was okay. Well, we can't get you for that, but we can get you for this. So now I started locking you up for very minuscule and minor things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then you had situations during that time periods when you had Black police officers as you continue to progress in history, but they weren't allowed to arrest white individuals.
So
Bass Reeves, who's that?
Say again.
Anybody know who Bass Reeves is?
No idea.
Bass Reeves was one of the very first African American, not bounty hunters, but he was one of the very first black lawmen in the West. And
I knew you was gonna go there with Catcher Freeman.
No, so Bass Reeves worked with a Native American, and the show The Lone Ranger was actually off of his life. But they weren't going to cast the Lone Ranger as being black because back in that time you couldn't have a black superhero. So Bass Reeves was one of the very first lawmen that was African American, and when the law switched over from being a Texas Ranger or being what he did in the West to police officers, and switched from that title, he wasn't allowed to arrest white people in the area that he worked. So they put him in only in the black only community to police that area. And I thought that was just very interesting. But definitely look up Bass Reeves.
Bass Reeves.
Yep, BASSREEVES.
No relation to Christopher.
None.
All right, okay.
No. None to Superman.
Man, y'all got the same mustache.
So we know where policing started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, none of us are police officers. But in my mind, you know, and the things that I've seen over the last few years, I'm 34, and in my past 34 years, I truly don't feel like they have done anything to adjust how they police. And I don't know how far back we've gone or they have gone to fix their tactics, their the way they talk to people, the way they have to command, you know, a scene, you know, once they're on scene, because their body postures, the way they, you know, I gotta have my hands ready on my belt, you know. None of that says the.
I think this is the one issue that we have. You know, you look at the Iraq war and the war in Afghanistan. A lot of people that are in your policing force had different rules of, you know, spent time in theater for several years, came back to the civilian world and began careers as law enforcement officers. And, you know, regardless of the training they go through to try to change that, you know, now they're the ones, you know, veterans. It's nothing. And once again, I don't want to take anything from anybody. You know, you're taking these people that just came back from war and then putting them to police American streets. Say again?
To more war.
Yeah. But they're still wired. They're still wired, you know, for being in theater or in a combat zone.
So Donahue, what about the flip side of that? And not to cut you off, about the individuals that are, you know, fresh out of high school, 18, 19 years old, really no life experiences, that becomes a police officer.
Well, the flip side to that, I think that's just about exposure, man. I mean, I remember when I was in the military, and I remember this one guy came and he told me he had never met a black person in his life. He was from Oregon. And when he met me, it's funny because this other guy, he was like, Donahue, you pretty much fit the mold of all the stereotypes, loud, you know. That was just me, you know. He was like, you fit all the stereotypes. No, that's not what no, he said. He was like, did you fight him? No, I didn't fight him for that. But what he said was,
you can't fight, but that's okay.
Were you eating fat?
I was not eating fat back. I was stationed at Fort Hood, and he said pretty much, you know, all the preconceived notions as far as, you know, being loud and because I mean, when I met the guy,
you can't hoop.
Who can't hoop?
You can't hoop. You mold and you can't hoop.
Say less.
I say more, because I'm curious to hear about these preconceived notions he had about you.
No. Well, you know, he was like, you know, I guess all the things you see portrayed in media, you know, I was pretty much in your face loud with the military.
I will tie that, Donahue, into a story that Larvell told me. So, Larvell, do you remember the story that you told me about the Middle Eastern guy when you were deployed who asked you why America treats African Americans the way they do?
That is true. So when I was over in Afghanistan, man, one of my jobs were to transport members to and from the gate. And the gate, what I mean, the end of, the base, we used to get Afghan locals to come in and get seen. And one of the Afghan locals was in the ride with me, and he spoke good English, and he visited the United States from time to time. And, I'm sitting there, I got my vest on, helmet, I got my rifle on me, and he just looked at me and he asked, he said, I've been to Texas, he said, where do you live? And of course, I didn't give him my exact location. And I told him, he was like, why is it so hard for a Black man in America? And that kind of opened up my eyes, because I'm all the way overseas in their country. For him to ask me that he'd been to the United States once or twice, and for him to pick that out, that was eye-opening for me. And I do agree with you, Donahue. When I was in basic training, it was one guy that was from Idaho, I think. And his first interaction with Black people was at basic training, I thought it was like, really, bro? But I guess, being in those states where, it's far, a lot of land, and you got a high school with 40 people in it, it's kind of not unnormal, if that makes sense,
No, it's not a normal, man. It's a very real situation. I remember an article that I was reading that was published by a white MD. He was a medical doctor, and it was called White Privilege and White Coat. And he spoke about the disparate conditions, and not to get off on a tangent, in healthcare, and how some of these individuals go through medical school, and the first time that they are treating or interacting with an African American patient is during a residency. And he talked about the subtle differences and the way they would treat African American patients and a variety of different things. So yeah, what you're saying is it's real in a variety of different professions.
That is true. Anything else? Anybody got to say anything else?
I think that brings my original comment full circle. You never know what kind of interactions you're going to have with somebody, and you could be speaking for a whole group of people. You don't even know it.
That's true.
That's true.
I agree.
Stokes,
I agree, Julian.
Top kill.
You said what?
Nothing.
Whatever you said, it won't important anyway. So. I got some for you next time I see you.
Good conversation tonight.
Great conversation tonight. I appreciate this.
I really do think we need to hit on that a little bit more. Current events. Go ahead, Sean. See what you was about to say.
I encourage everyone to stop and think about what you want from policing. We know where it started. Now, where do we go? What do we change? How do we change it? How long is it going to take? Let's be realistic about the goals that we set, the visions that we have for it. Looking at social media, every day you're gonna see something, that stirs your, get your blood boiling about how is going on in this country, and it is maddening. I didn't agree with anything that was done by the police officers in that video that we were talking about tonight. I think what he totally respectful, totally smart in his part, and it totally went wrong because of how police are taught. And so, hopefully, everybody can just get to the drawing board and figure some things out.
Agree.
Yeah.
And my one last comment to say is, if your homeboy was out here and he killed 2 or 3 people, please stop saying free your homeboy, free Pookie. Y'all can keep him. Please keep him. If he didn't kill 2 or 3 people, I don't believe he need to be free. I think he need to keep his ass right where he at.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, again, like I said, shoot us topics, shoot us comments, like, subscribe, share. What'd you say, bro?
Don't shoot me.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead, boss.
Yeah, I was just gonna say before we leave.
Yeah, hurry up. Snowfall coming out.
Man, F that show. Everybody do your own research and learn the history of everything in America.
Free thinking.
Exactly. Free thinking,
Yes.
learn history of slavery, policing, like we talked about earlier, Jim Crow era, learn about the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments. Learn history so that we don't repeat it. We can change this stuff now. We're the generation, and the generation after us are the ones that can change everything in America. So learn your history, understand history, and then let's move forward.
13 on Netflix. Watch it. 13th.
Yes, definitely watch that.
Definitely watch that.
All right, and we out. Oh man. Oh.